Good evening and welcome to Chicago Tonight Black Voices. I'm Brandis Friedman and thanks for sharing part of your weekend with us. On the show tonight, what results a gunshot detection system known as ShotSpotter is having in Chicago. We're one-on-one with its CEO. There's a new office on your Chicago ballot. What you need to know about the city's first civilian police oversight board. The city's rolling out its next phase of debt relief programs, and this one is open to all Chicagoans.
Iman has always attempted to be a place that responds to the needs of our community, period.
And new art spaces open in the Chicago Lawn neighborhood. All that coming up, but our first story tonight, the CEO of a controversial gunshot detection company joins us right after this.
Chicago Tonight, Black Voices, is made possible in part by Fifth Third Bank and by the support of these donors.
At Fifth Third, we believe when diverse voices are heard and empowered, communities are made stronger, lives are made better, and the future holds greater promise for all. That's why we're proud to support Chicago Tonight Black Voices. Together, we can make a difference. Together, we can drive change.
Some Chicago communities are monitored by an acoustic-based gunshot detection system that pinpoints the locations of gunfire. Now, this technology used by the Chicago Police Department is known as ShotSpotter. It alerts law enforcement and claims to reduce gun violence in communities. But critics say the technology does little to curb crime, costs too much, and leads to excessive police responses in Black and Latino communities. Here with more on how the system works is Ralph Clark, CEO of ShotSpotter. Ralph, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
First, if you would, explain how your system detects gunfire.
So ShotSpotter is a technology, as you pointed out, that pinpoints the exact location of gunfire. And we do that through combining software with a network of sensors that have the ability to understand a loud pop or boom noise. And then we go through the steps after we've identified the specific location of that particular event. We go through some steps to filter out those incidents that aren't gunshots, leaving the ones that are gunshots to be published, typically within 30 to 45 seconds of the trigger pull. And what makes the technology so compelling is that we know from our work and what's been independently studied and analyzed by folks is that 80 to 90% of outdoor criminal gunfire goes unreported. Effectively, traditional 911 is broken for those communities that are suffering from ongoing, persistent gun violence.
So it is able to tell the difference then between gunfire and, say, fireworks or a car backfiring?
Of course. Yes, most certainly.
Because you also have a human review element. Why was that important, that there's a human who's able to review what the technology has detected?
Yeah, so the technology does a really good job of identifying the location of loud pops, booms, and bangs. It then goes through an extra step of filtering out those pops, booms, and bangs that it has 100% confidence is not gunfire. We then leave everything else to go into our incident review center, where we have trained acoustic experts that listen to and look at these events in real time. And it's important to note that these individuals have tools specifically to be able to replay the recorded incident and be able to look at sensor participation, the graphic of the waveform of the sensors, listening to multiple sensors outdoors. They're effectively a virtual witness to an incident of gunfire, as opposed to someone maybe sitting inside of a living room hearing it. They're listening to it on the outside due to our outside sensors, and they have the ability to listen to multiple sensors worth. And that review process can take anywhere from 30 to 45 seconds. And what that leaves is vetted alerts that then get published to a subscribing agency. And we have a SLA standard, I should say a warranty, that has 90% technical efficacy that says, look, we're going to produce 90% technical efficacy-oriented gunshots, and we're going to incentivize you to hold us to account for that level of quality. And if we fall below that, we're going to have to pay some money because we're not living up to our bargain. And we know collectively from collecting that information from all of our customers, we're operating well above the 90%. We're actually at 97%. And that number has been audited too by a independent firm.
Okay, so Ralph, in 2021, Chicago's Office of the Inspector General found that fewer than 1 in 10 ShotSpotter alerts between 2020 and 2021 resulted in evidence of a gun-related criminal offense being found. How do you respond to that?
Yeah, so we don't quibble at all with the math that the Inspector General used in coming up with that calculation. It is interesting to note that detractors are weaponizing that to make it be about ShotSpotter not working. And in fact, the author of that OIG report said specifically, it isn't the report isn't answering the question or addressing a question about the technical efficacy of ShotSpotter. It's offering a question around operational value. And to that, I'll say, although that 10% might sound small, I think you have to look at that nominal number of what's in that 10%. And we know from looking at the same data that the OIG report produced that ShotSpotter led to 1,100 gunshot wound victims coded by the data that OIG looked at. 800 of those 1,100 gunshot wound victims did not have a corresponding 911 call. So what does that mean? It means that ShotSpotter was the means by which first responders got to those folks that were potentially bleeding out and potentially saving a percent of those lives. And I would suggest that that is operational value, saving, a percent of a significant percent, most likely, of 1,100 folks that ShotSpotter got to because they didn't have a corresponding 911 call.
To that point, would you say ShotSpotter has been effective in reducing crime and increasing public safety?
Well, anyone that's been in the business of violent crime reduction knows that there's no singular solution to preventing and reducing crime. We believe very confidently that we're an incredibly valuable tool in the overall tool set of the police department and broader community to use ShotSpotter data for our Data for Good initiative, as an example, to combine that data with other resources, other processes to affect gun violence. So we don't ever claim to be the singular solution to gun violence. We do know that we have very good line of sight about aiding the speed and response to first responders, police, to get to incidents of gun crime. And there should not be anything controversial about equipping a police department to respond to someone criminally firing a gun in a neighborhood.
So we understand. How is it determined where the sensors are placed out in the community? Is that up to the CPD?
So the specific placement of the sensors is under our control. The coverage area is under the control of the subscribing agency. And typically what they use to decide where they want the coverage area is they take very objective data where they have incidents of gun violence, homicides, gunshot wound victims, those calls that they do get, and they try to put coverage over those areas that have a high degree of ongoing persistent gun crime. Because there is an expense involved, obviously, with deploying ShotSpotter, and that's why we would never recommend typically that a city cover its entire population or its entire geography with ShotSpotter. It just wouldn't make economic sense. We want to be where there's ongoing persistent gun crime.
And we know that for Chicago's first 3-year contract, which has since been extended, their first contract was a $33 million contract over 3 years with ShotSpotter. As we mentioned, though, some community members, they criticize the use of ShotSpotter, claiming that, again, that is ineffective, as reported by the OIG, but that their bigger concern is that they believe it contributes to over-policing in black and brown communities. How do you respond to that?
I haven't seen any evidence of that. I've heard people say that, but I've seen scant evidence of that taking place. What I see a lot more evidence is ShotSpotter getting police to gunshot wound victims.
Okay. Ralph Clark, CEO of ShotSpotter, thank you so much for joining us. That's where we'll have to leave it.
Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
The city's latest phase in debt relief sets its sights on administrative debt. That's the sort of debt incurred by tickets for noise violations and littering, which often disproportionately impact low-income communities. With the standard relief program, individuals and businesses can pay off the original fine amount, and the city will waive any penalties or fees that have accrued since the ticket was first issued.
And this is the administrative hearings related debt program. We have a program that basically is handled in 2 different phases. We have a standard relief period of this program, which is going on from now until March 31st of 2023. There's no application required for this program. And what you're getting as a benefit is for any kind of docket that you have related to administrative hearings debt. So let's say you have like high weeds and you got a ticket from the city or streets and sanitation for that. You would have in that interest, cost, and fees waived by paying 100% of the fine amount, or in enrolling in a payment plan. So some of these tickets, let's say the ticket is $100, it actually increased up to above 200, just with other fines and fees and penalties that would go on. So here, what we would charge is the $100, and then if there's any court costs, which are usually nominal, that would get charged as well. You have a time period to pay that. So if you wanted to get onto a payment plan, you could get onto a payment plan. And our payment plans are $25 down payment in terms up to 24 months. The minimum amount is $10 a month, so it makes it really reasonable. And this is open to all individuals and businesses. What we've seen is that people want to pay the debt, but it's not affordable for them if they have to come in and pay it like $100 off the bat, or if it's more, $200 or $300. When you have a payment plan where you have 24 months or 60 months to pay, it makes it more affordable. And we've already seen 26,000 dockets that have been impacted in terms of a reduction or the partial waiver of the fines and fees, which is amazing. And that's over 3.6 million that have already been reduced. So it's a really impactful program. We'd love to see more participation in these programs that will be really helpful for our citizens.
And you'll find more information on the debt relief program on our website. A second phase of this program coming in the spring will allow income-eligible individuals to receive a discount on their original debt. We'll be sure to keep you in the loop when that happens. Up next, a new office appearing on your Chicago ballot. We explain right after this. There is a lot at stake in Chicago's upcoming municipal election. In addition to voting for mayor and alderpeople, there's also a completely new office for Chicagoans to elect. It is the city's first civilian police oversight board, the Community Commission for Public Safety and Accountability. Voters will elect the 3-member councils for each of the city's 22 police districts. Those councils will be charged with holding regular meetings and bringing concerns and recommendations to the city and police leadership. Those districts will then nominate a 7-person commission to oversee the entire Chicago Police Department. Proponents say there are many goals, especially to build trust between residents and the police. Joining us now are Damon Smith, Deputy Director of the Community Commission for Public Safety and Accountability, and Lauren Jones, attorney for BPI and member of the Empowering Communities for Public Safety Coalition. Thanks to you both for joining me. Damon Smith, let's start with you, please. Sure. How does the Community Commission define public safety?
Public safety is defined as everyone having the opportunity to get home safely every day, right? Regardless of their interactions they have with members of the public or if they have interactions with the Chicago Police Department. Getting home safely and not having their right to a trial or to a court appearance placed in jeopardy by misconduct or acts that are violence or terror. That's how they define public safety. And so when individuals leave their homes or even are in their homes, and if there's an incident that occurs, they should be dealt with professionally, with intentionality, with justice first, and not vengeful hatred actions that can put their lives in jeopardy. That's how they define public safety.
Lauren Jones, you're a member of the coalition that fought to have this board established. How does the Empowering Communities for Public Safety Coalition define public safety?
Well, I would reiterate what Damon said, first of all, and second, as a coalition, and part of what we wanted to establish with this ordinance is giving folks in their community the opportunity to define public safety for themselves. It's a complicated question, and like Damon said, it incorporates protection and safety from police violence and protection and safety from acts of violence in your neighborhoods. And so I think everyone should have that opportunity to figure out what that is for themselves, and the district councils give folks an opportunity to do that.
Damon, elections are on February 28th. What happens next? How does the board get up and running after that?
So actually, they start running for elections now because early voting starts this Thursday, right? So they're running between now and February 28th. And then once that happens, the CCPSA, which is the agency that I work for, will be holding trainings for the district council members to walk them through the processes for their job, right? To walk them through what it means to be a member of the district councils. How do you hold meetings? How do you take these recommendations from the community to build that trust with their local police district leadership? And what we're doing now is building that trust, building those relationships from the district level up through the Chicago Police Department. Instead of down from the superintendent or the mayor's office for citizens to just do what they're told, we're going to have the citizens and the residents of these districts tell the police how they want to be policed. But there's a way they have to go about doing that, and that's what we're putting them through their training to do so.
Lauren Jones, you're asking voters to elect a lot of people. Are you concerned at all, or are there any concerns about engagement? Because that has been one of the challenges, for example, with the local school councils, LSCs, with not everybody, not all of those seats being filled, not enough people running. Is that a concern here at all?
Absolutely. I think that's a concern of the coalition. We've been working really diligently to get as many people as possible engaged, and happy to have this platform to encourage people to go out and vote for these positions. And in the future, we hope that everyone understands what ECPS is and the power of it, because everyone has an opinion about public safety, right? And so having this separate mechanism in Chicago that's dedicated specifically to that, we're hoping that will keep people engaged in the long run.
And Lauren, describe, if you would, briefly, the intended purpose of having these very local councils.
Right. So when we dreamt up this idea of having police oversight in Chicago, one of the things that we really wanted to maintain was that community voice, was giving input to a smaller body, because in some places there's just that smaller body. And so the purpose of these district councils is to address localized concerns. And like I said, public safety is different in every neighborhood in Chicago. And so we're hoping that those conversations can start to happen more regularly on a local level and start to shape what public safety looks like for our entire city.
Brandon, may I chime in for 1 second? I want to congratulate the ECPS Coalition and the GAPA Coalition, because there are 109 individuals who are running for district council seats throughout the city, and 29 write-in candidates who have made themselves eligible to run for these district council seats. So that is already telling you that the citizenry and the residents of the city of Chicago are very interested in policing their own communities and deciding what that policing looks like. So kudos to the coalition for doing that work.
Damon, these are 4-year terms. What are your goals for, success at the end of the first term, and what are your metrics for success altogether?
Well, the interesting thing is, how do you judge, success with something like this, right? So we're looking at public engagement. Are the communities, as you just asked, coming to these meetings, participating in what policing looks like, and building those structures? Are they creating opportunities for restorative justice, peace circles, community policing, or having incidents be addressed that may not involve handcuffs and police officers, but maybe some alternative strategies to building those relationships and resolving these issues among community residents, so the police don't have to be called for every single incident. Maybe increasing mental health awareness and having those issues addressed as well. Instead of having the police involved, maybe it's the community involved. So that's how we're judging if this works or not. We want to help reduce what the police have to do in our communities, so that when they're called, it is for a true emergency where everyone is treated fairly and equitably, and also have the residents of the districts decide what policing looks like going forward for them, so they trust their police department.
Lauren, the ECPS issued a statement highlighting groundwork that the interim CCPSA had laid, among them establishing annual goals and postponing implementation of the criminal enterprise information system by the police department, also known as the so-called gang database. What indicators will the ECPS be looking for to determine that the board is on the right track from your perspective?
In the coalition's mind, we want to make sure that when we have a concern like the gang database policy, that it's being responded to. I think that we have a very long history in Chicago of those concerns not being addressed. And so one of those metrics is having that addressed and having there be a conversation, which for this particular instance was immediate. There was reaction. And we hope to see that with every case in the future as well.
Lauren, I'm going to let you have the last word. We've got about 30 seconds. Chicago's seen efforts at police oversight before. What is different about this time?
This is the very first community-led police oversight body We're hoping to right some of the wrongs that have happened in the past that happened because community was not able to have their voice heard. And this is an opportunity. It's not the end, it's the beginning for us to really be a part of that public safety system in Chicago. So I encourage everyone to go out and vote and to engage with the CCPSA. There's a meeting tonight, and so if you're available, I would head out to that.
It is the beginning, something we'll be watching going forward to see how this works out for the community. Lauren Jones, Damon Smith, thanks to you both for joining us.
Thank you, Brandis.
Thank you.
Up next, new art spaces open in Chicago Lawn. The Inner City Muslim Action Network, or Iman, is celebrating 25 years of commitment to community with a new art gallery and ceramic studio meant to serve the Chicago Lawn neighborhood and surrounding area. Arts correspondent Angel Edo takes us to the Southwest Side for a look at those new community spaces.
These students are getting a taste of Iman's newest addition, their ceramic studio.
It look like me. I made myself. It's my dreads. See, as you can see, my hair is missing, my nose is fat, and my eyebrows are bushy.
They're a part of Iman's Green Reentry program, which provides transitional housing, job training, education, and more for returning citizens and high-risk youth.
The series they just finished today, I think the fourth and final session, it was a chance for them to get into the ceramic studio to get a taste of it. So right now they're completing orientation. So they'll be in orientation until the end of this year, 2022. Next year they'll get a chance to go back into the ceramic studio. There's a quote that we refer to often, that if you want to get somewhere you've never been, you have to be willing to try something you've never tried.
One of the newest members of the Green Reentry program says the resources they provide have helped him greatly.
They got counselors for us here we see once a week, so I enjoy that, being able to come talk about what I have going on the outside. I never thought I'd be doing ceramics. I love it because I could come express myself without thinking about all the outside noise. They made me more of a man than I was when I first came in here, because they hold me accountable for all the stuff I think I'm gonna get away with.
We're really trying to shift and represent, just kind of a righteous culture in general. So, the standards that we uphold within the space, it's really something people are looking for, but sometimes are not able to verbalize. But to be able to interact and hold each other up, lift each other up, learn from each other, eat together, laugh together, be challenged together, it's a big part of who Iman is. Brings a lot of value to Iman as a whole, and I think to our communities, we just don't have enough spaces like this, so it's one that we hold very sacred.
Iman's commitment to creative spaces also extends to their new Manifest Art Gallery, which houses a selection of 45 nationally recognized artists.
In communities where we've had generational trauma and we've had decades of trauma, just having a safe space, period, is so needed and is to not be taken for granted. You have really unique interactions that take place, so the physical space of a ceramic studio where that's happening, all these spaces that are just very unique and offer so much hope and the ability to process through life together with others.
With an existing main campus that currently offers a full healthcare center, Iman's mission remains focused on health and wellness for both the mind and body.
What's really important for us is an emphasis on a holistic model, on a model that emphasizes that it's not just healthcare that is going to help save our communities. It's not just, a focus on education. It's not just a focus on jobs for returning citizens. It's an understanding that you need a holistic model to actually address the decades of systemic and structural racism.
While a foundation of the group's principle is rooted in Muslim spiritual traditions, they say their commitment is to serve everyone.
Iman is not Iman without the coalitions that we're a part of, without the alliances that we're a part of. We're an organization that I think stands out to a lot of people because at the core of our work is this emphasis on bringing people together. Iman has always attempted to be a place that responds to the needs of our community, period.
For Chicago Tonight Black Voices, I'm Angel Ito.
And you can visit our website for more information on how to get involved in Iman's newest health and wellness programs. And that's our show for this weekend. Be sure to visit our website, WTTW.com/news, for the very latest from WTTW News. And while you're there, you can check out our list of 10 things to do this weekend. And if you're watching us on Saturday night, know that you can also catch Black Voices and Latino Voices on Sundays beginning at 10 p.m. And join me and Paris Schutz next week at 10 on Chicago Tonight. Now, for all of us here at Chicago Tonight Black Voices, I'm Brandis Friedman. Thanks for sharing part of your weekend with us. Stay healthy and safe, and have a good night.
Closed captioning is made possible by Robert A. Clifford and Clifford Law Offices, a proud sponsor of diversity, equity, and inclusion-focused free continuing legal education for lawyers throughout the region.